Here we go.
Okay. All right.
We are live. Hello, world. Sorry, I haven't been on here all day. We've got a few things that got changed around, different time zones. So we'll get those folks on either later on tonight or another time. So no big deal here. But we are live with another Florida legendary coach, long time and now retired Gainesville high school coach. He was there from 98 to 2013. He also wrestled there and got states in 1997. And then he's coached over the years 8 individual state champs, 30 plus state placers, 11 district titles, 4 regional titles, and 6 top 5 finishes. So he is no longer the head coach there. He is kind of involved. He helps the coaches out and helps the room, but he's not the coach anymore. He's kind of taking a break. But how are you, Coach, man? Thanks for coming on.
No problem. Thank you for having me. Doing well. Gainesville is rainy right now, but you know, we're moving forward here.
Awesome. So I know that you're not directly in it as much anymore, but have you been in contact with those guys and seen kind of what this COVID is kind of how it's affected what they would have done or been doing this spring?
I think so. Yeah, I try to stay involved with most of the coaches in the area. I've known the coaches at Schultz High School since they were hired and since they brought the program back. And so we've all kind of stayed in contact. And I think it's an unknown time for us all. The one advantage I kind of do see is that, I don't see anybody taking any breaks at this point now. When things kind of open back up, I think that everybody's just going to roll right from here right into the season and be in pretty good shape. I mean, we'll probably see some mid-season form right at the very beginning. So I think, everybody's kind of coming up with their game plan right now on how they want to approach getting back into the room, and everybody's kind of chomping at the bit right now. So they're just formulating kind of how they're going to get it going and how they're going to start and what the school is going to allow, and they're going to take it from there.
Man, that's awesome. So you were obviously, it was your program for many, many, many years. It looks like 15 or so. Talk about Gainesville wrestling. Talk about how far it's come, how far you've seen it grow, and are we seeing Gainesville as a little powerhouse here in Florida?
Well, I mean, really it all started back in 1991. Jeff Davis, a longtime Florida legend family, he started a small little program over at the Boys and Girls Club here, just called the Gainesville Takedown Club. And mainly it was an outlet for his sons to get out and get on the mat. And through the years, more and more kids joined. And up here, there wasn't really much tradition at all. The UF program was cut in the 70s. And so it was one of those things where it kind of just all happened at the right time for Gainesville High School. I came on in 1998 as an assistant, and really just that at that time, there wasn't a ton of summer wrestling up this way. You'd have to travel pretty far down to Miami to get some tournaments. And so there wasn't really much summer wrestling. So right around that time, it just started happening in Jacksonville, where they started picking up some NHSCA tournaments, and we just started going there nonstop over the summer. And I mean, the saying summer wrestling makes winter champions couldn't be more correct. And so we just really were able to take that next step because we were able to get all those matches over the summer.
That's awesome. So, man, that's got to be great. I know I'm sure you're missing it. Maybe you like the freedom, but you still get your fix every once in a while. I know that years ago you had a woman, a girl, and she may be the only girl that's ever won a match in the Florida States. Miriam Jenkins. Talk about that, and when she did it was way before her time, right?
Yeah, it was looking back now as a middle-aged man, I didn't even take the time to really appreciate what she accomplished as a 17-year-old. So I got to wrestle with Miriam as a teammate for 2 years, and then I was her coach for the next 2 years. And those 2 years were really just record setting. I mean, she came in 1990, that'd be 98, and had a great year. I think she won 28 matches, but I mean, at that time, there was hardly any women's wrestling at all. And so there was articles in the paper about that it shouldn't happen, that we shouldn't allow women to wrestle men. And, so it's nothing like it is now, where it's pretty much commonplace and accepted. Back then there was coaches that would refuse to wrestle her. There was wrestlers that would refuse to wrestle her. There was referees that wouldn't call kids pinned when she had them pinned. So it was a different time period then, but she was a pretty special individual. She could do more pull-ups and push-ups than pretty much most of the guys on the team. And her senior year, she kind of came in with this focus that she wasn't going to let anybody stop her. Her goal was to win a match at the state tournament. She knew she could do it. And she worked hard all year. No complaints at all. So she was an easy person to get along with because she worked so hard. And there wasn't an eye that wasn't watching that mat at the state tournament at all. Everybody was there. CNN is interviewing her. I mean, looking back, I'm sure the immense amount of pressure that she had on her to perform was huge, and she still just went right through and did it. And she won that first round match. And, even after her, that she was a trailblazer then, there was no protocol in place for women weighing in Florida. I mean, it was kind of the Wild West. And so now from there, she went on and joined the Marines. The commandant said, "Hey, you served 2 years in Okinawa. I'll let you join the Marine Corps wrestling team." So she was the first female to ever be on the all Marine Corps wrestling team. And she started competing then while splitting time with her duties. And in 2002, she was named the MVP of the U.S. Nationals. Then she had to take a break and go serve a tour of duty in Iraq. And then she came back and with a year off, decided that in 2004 was the first year with the Olympic trials. So she tried out for that, won her region. And so she qualified for Olympic trials. She ended up losing to Mary Kelly, who made the Olympic team that year in the semifinals. And I think she dropped down and took 5th, and then had to go take another tour of duty after that. And that was kind of the end of her career. So, you take away some of those years of service and add to her training, she was beating women like Carissa Chun and Mary Kelly, in her heyday. So you never know what could happen, but she had a great career, and, we're all proud of her for sure.
Man, that's great. Maybe one day I'll get to talk to her and meet her.
Yeah. I'm sure she'd be happy. She's still serving. She's in, I think her 20th year this year, and she's stationed out in California, but she just texted me the other day and they had sent her overseas. So she just got back. So we can certainly set something up.
Awesome. Yeah. So obviously that kind of leads into the growth of women's wrestling. I mean, you witnessed what she went through. And then just as early back as I was talking to Coach Valles, who's up in, is it Grandview, I think it's called. And even her 7 years ago or whatever, she'll tell you that boys didn't want to wrestle me. I couldn't get a match. I'd walk into rooms, and then to see what it is today, she's obviously said it's a blessing, but I mean, you've seen it come from 99 to now. What kind of growth have you seen? And when we get this sanctioned, it's just going to explode, I think.
Oh, I can't agree more. I think that, going through what Miriam went through, and all power to her. She was a trailblazer. She kind of helped, along with several other female wrestlers, kind of put the stepping stones in place to make, women's wrestling what it is now. And I think that what we're all looking for is that, like you said, it keeps growing. I think it's going to be a great thing to have it a sanctioned sport. And I also look at, even a couple years after Miriam, we had a kind of a tradition of having a girl or two on the team. And even then you could see it was starting. We had the early stages of Florida wrestling or women's wrestling in Florida where people were trying to get a state tournament together. I remember Gateway High School had a big one. This would have been in 2002, and there was a couple, 100 girls there. But now to hear that there was, I think you had mentioned 379 at the state tournament this year, it's just going to get bigger and bigger. I think it's a great thing, and it can only help the sport.
Yeah, I spoke to Princeton head coach Chris Ayers, and he said he has a daughter that won the states in this year, and but he said that this year the Atlantic City girls state tournament was over 700 girls.
That's amazing. And I think Florida's on its way to that. It seems like every single year you're seeing more and more participants, and it's great for the sport.
That's awesome. So from being a runner-up in '97 to Florida wrestling today, tell us about it. I mean, where have you seen this sport come? Let me see if my headphones work. I know I'm a little. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yep. I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay.
Florida wrestling has just grown leaps and bounds, in my opinion. I mean, I'll be the first to admit I was not some great wrestler. I just had pretty good willpower and determination, and I was kind of able to make it as far as I did. But now I think, nowadays, if you are not training year round and you're not putting in the work to be, at the top or on the podium, it's going to be tough for you to get there. You're not going to just kind of luck your way in. And, so I think that just is a testament to how hard all these kids and in turn, all these coaches are working. It's not, I don't think you're seeing a lot of the, football coaches that just coach wrestling. You're seeing a lot of specialized coaches, great coaches in Florida here that are very, very in tune with the wrestling community and know how to teach and coach. And they're producing some great wrestlers all across the state.
That's awesome, and it's good to see. And I know you're up in Gainesville. I had please hold. My memory is terrible. I don't want to mess up his name. He's over in Tallahassee, and I had him on. And
Crowder.
Yeah, he talked about his that big tournament he has there and the Panhandle wrestling growing and everything. And
Mike and I are longtime rivals / friends. I've known him. His first year coaching was my senior year wrestling, so we've been around and intertwined with each other for years. The Capital City Classic that he's run for, I can't even remember how long it is now. It's a great tournament. It was one of those ones that I always wanted to win. So when we did win it 1 or 2 years, it was a neat experience. I was always really happy. And he's a great guy, great coach.
Awesome. So talk about what's your most memorable moment in wrestling?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, there's quite a bit. Being able to take home a trophy from the state tournament was a special experience. It's one that not a lot of people get to have that experience. And so, I mean, for me, I knew where we were as a team and as a city. We didn't have a lot of tradition, and so I knew that I was never going to be able to be one of these teams that year in and year out fields a full lineup and has wins districts every year, wins regionals every year. my entire goal when I started coaching was I want to be in the top 10 at the state tournament as many times as I can. And so, being able to take this group of kids and really work with them and take home that trophy and be able to give them a medal from the state tournament, all the kids that participated, that was a great experience. It was definitely one that I'll never forget. And I don't think that they will either. Everybody contributed. We only had, I think 12 varsity wrestlers that year and qualified 10. And I'll tell you, one of my proudest moments was all 10 of them won a match at the state tournament, at least one. And so every one of them got to contribute to that trophy. And so that was a great experience.
That's awesome, man.
Cool.
That's
some individual ones were great too. I mean, we've had some great individual wrestlers come through, and to be able to coach some state champs was a great experience also.
Yeah, it's got to be dear to you with that big putting the medals on all their necks. That had to be fun.
Oh yeah. I mean, you've got some of these kids that started in the Gainesville takedown program, like we said, and worked their way through. I mean, it's incredible to me that this little tiny program here in Gainesville, I mean, there's only 100, you take away University of Florida, we only got 100,000 people in Gainesville, and we've got this little tiny program there, and it's produced 8 state champions and a bunch of state place winners. So it's just a testament to the coaching staff and everybody that's helped out and started it from 1991 on. So.
Wow, that's awesome. Cool, man. You ready for the 10 questions?
Sure.
I think I got some. Was there anything else that you wanted to touch on before we get in there?
No, I just think that it's, like I said before, I think what you're doing is great. I think it's really shows how tight knit the wrestling community is, that everybody has come out and supported, and, just couldn't be more happy for what you're doing.
Yeah, it's been awesome. And I get messages, did you wrestle? And I'm like, nope, never wrestled. It's just, it's about my kid and the kids and what I've seen happen over the last 2 years with the progression of my son. And then of course I've gotten to be in the community and just seeing how strong and tight knit it was. And I just felt like being stuck at home now was as good a time as any to start this platform. And I can't get away from it now. I've got stuff set up for weeks.
Right.
Yeah, I'm entrenched. So
you're stuck now.
Yeah, so it's awesome, man. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Gator football or Gator baseball?
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, I grew up watching football my whole life here, but I have been to Omaha and watched the World Series. So I'm gonna have to go with football just because, but I'm Gator baseball is a close second.
Yeah, they got a good team. And I'm not a Gators fan.
Okay. All right.
I am a Hurricanes fan. So you can see him sitting on the Gator right there. But
right.
But Gainesville is Gator country, so I got to give you sorry, I got to give it to you. So Gatorade or Powerade?
Gatorade for sure. Yeah, that's one thing I know. Nowadays we hear, oh, it's got too much sugar, but I think I grew up drinking Gatorade. I can't stop it.
All right. Max or Dick Mondell's?
That's a good question there. You did your research. Max for sure. I mean, Max has been around since the 70s. You can't turn that one down.
All right, here's another one. Big Lou's or Paisanos?
I like Paisanos. It's close to my house too, so it's right up the road. But it's a good pizza for sure.
All right, some beer. Swamp Head or Big Top?
Swamp Head is a good one. Those guys started in a garage kind of little storage shed, and they've really come a long way. They built a huge distribution center. Now you see their beer in Publix all the time. So more power to those guys. They've done a great job.
Awesome. All right. So Sorry about that, man. It's terrible.
You're good.
Sorry out there. I got to read my own handwriting. Devil's Millhopper Park or Butterfly Rainforest?
Devil's Millhopper. I grew up about a mile from there, so it's a pretty neat thing. My parents used to slide down the side on the cardboard boxes back in the 70s. So I've got some nostalgia there, but you can walk all the way down. It's about 300 feet down. So it's a neat spot.
Awesome. All right. Fargo or 32?
So I had Fargo All-American, 2 of those, but Super 32 back when I was coaching was a pretty impressive tournament as far as the fact that they did it in one day. Now they've got it in a couple, but man, it was a neat experience. I mean, to kind of get through that big of a tournament in one day was incredible.
Live goes or clinics?
I am a huge believer in live situations. That's something that I just always did. So start a kid in a position, hit a 20-second go. You can't, you do a live match, you do a 6-minute match. Kids know how to kind of hang out, maybe not go 100%. But for whatever reason, when you do a 20-second go, nobody really wants to give in right there. So I always just thought those live situations were the best thing for us,
Awesome. So as far as kids keeping their cardio up and things like that, do you tell them running or swimming?
We were a big running team, had a decent amount of kids on the cross country team. But I tell you, one of the things that I really liked is we had this Schwinn Aerodyne bike down in the room. And I would set some workouts on that, and those kids, that thing will take it out of you more than pretty much anything else. One of our state champs, Nick Davis, he would, after practice every single day, he'd get on that Schwinn Aerodyne bike and do 30-second hard go as hard as he can, and then 30 seconds off, 30 seconds on, and he'd do that for 6 minutes to kind of replicate a match.
Wow.
And so I thought that was always one of the better workouts that I'd seen.
All right, so here's the last question. You ready?
Yes, sir.
A bigger event, the Super Bowl or a Gator football game?
Well, for me, it'd be a Gator football game. I'm not a pro guy, but I've been to some big games here in the swamp, and I've been to both the last 2 national championship games, and it's always pretty fun.
Yeah, so I spent a long time in the car business, and I remember, 15 years ago, I was working for an auto group, which had one of the dealerships was in Gainesville.
Okay.
And the guys would tell me that on Saturdays, they might as well not even be open because the whole town would just shut down. They would put chairs out front and just barbecue because nothing was open.
Right. It's kind of a tradition. It's, just like any of these big towns, or big college towns, it's when it goes on, the neat thing now, they've started shutting down universities. So, now people are just walking down the middle of the street, and, it's grown too, along with everything else. So.
Yeah, it's definitely a Florida Gator town, huh?
Right.
That's awesome. Hey, man, this was unbelievable. I can do this anytime you want to do this. So I had a great time.
Well, you're booked for a while, though.
I am booked for a while, but I can make exceptions.
Okay. All right.
Hey, thanks so much. I've got Jake Sinkovics coming on next. He's the head assistant coach at University of Cumberland. So another
great.
NAIA school coming on, and we've had a lot of coaches, so that'll be fun talking to him. And then, I think at 3, actually, he's on at 4. I think at 3, we're going to get the Cardinal Gibbons guys back on. Frank Periano, I guess, no.
Coutinho,
yeah, he couldn't get the camera working. So I got a text saying they got it working. So I should be able to get them back on. And I know he's given that program over to the Morris twins, which
right.
are incredible. So that should be a good thing for the program.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's one of the great programs, the all-time great programs of Florida right there. So it's only going to get better.
Fun. Hey man, thanks so much for coming on, and I appreciate the kind words and the support.
Thank you. Thank you.
And let's get Miriam on.
We'll try on it. We'll try. I'll contact her.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Thank you.